My name's Karen, and I live in Idaho Falls, Idaho. It's been quite a few years ago that I first met Mike, but actually a friend of mine was doing some personal training with him and had invited me to join her. And she's amazing. She's in really good shape. And so I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this will help me along. And so Mike did personal training with the two of us, and we did a lot of strength training, some conditioning. And at that time, you know, he just has a great sense of humor, and he's lots of fun. And he pushes us because even though Carla and I are both fairly active, it helps to have someone pushing us along a little bit because we tend to visit and want to yak and maybe not work as hard. And so Mike is really good about finding that balance, about being very personable, but also very motivating. And so I think that's the first. We did that. We did several series of just the personal training, the two of us. Over the years since that time, I've done quite a few kettlebell sessions with him. I've done currently what we're doing right now is fit wall, and have interspersed some personal training in between those things. But mostly what I like about Mike is just that he's so personable, and he pushes you without being discouraging. And he's also very encouraging. You know, I've struggled over the years. I'll go up and down, and he's seen me through a couple of those phases. And he never gets discouraged. He just encourages me to get back on track and stay motivated. And so I think he's one of the main reasons that I continue to go to the gym that I do, just because he's there. And I know that, you know, he just has a lot of energy and enthusiasm. And even though he does this all the time, he never seems to get tired of it. I think Mike is one of those people who genuinely wants the people around him to be their healthiest. He'll start with you no matter where you're at and help you to achieve your goals. So you don't ever feel like, oh, I'm so out of shape, I haven't been in here in 4 months. He doesn't ever belittle or shame or anything like that. He's just excited that you're back and working again. Like I've said, I've worked with Mike in a variety of different kind of arenas, but I've had over the years great success with weight loss. I think probably the most I've lost is maybe 30 to 40 pounds. And so I can say that the stuff that he teaches is valuable that way. I don't always stick to it. I tend to work out a lot and eat poorly. So, but Mike encourages you about that. He's like, you know, 80% of what you do is not in here, it's out there. So, but he's never judgmental about it. He's pretty kind about those things. But I've also increased in strength over the years, and what I've liked as time has gone by is that I'm finding programs that work with me a little bit better. I've had some sports injuries over the years, and some things have recovered better than others, and so I've had to find some different activities that I can do, and Mike has helped with that journey in terms of figuring out what can I do and still be active and still feel like I'm getting a really good workout, and not exacerbate some of those things that haven't healed as well as they could have. So so I'm stronger than I am. I have than I used to be, and I have a lot better cardiovascular fitness than I used to have, because he does a nice blend of strength training and cardiovascular activity. So I think those things have improved. And I still feel enthusiastic. You know, a lot of times it's easy to get burned out on what you're doing. And so Mike always makes that interesting and fun, and tries to mix things up enough so that you always want to come back. I think that being active helps me with my mental health. I have a really stressful job. I work in children's mental health, and there are some weeks where I think, if I hear one more stressful, horrible story, I'm not going to be able to handle it. And so I really use the gym and some of the stuff that I do with Mike as a stress reliever to kind of keep some balance in my life, and to help me feel like there are still good people out there in the world. There's still a lot of positive things that are happening, just because I hear a lot of really sad, tragic things that people do to one another, and I hear that regularly. And so sometimes I think going to the gym helps me not be quite so jaded, and it helps burn off that emotional stress. And so I think that Mike has helped me find some balance in those areas of my life. I also like, you know, there's just kind of depending on what activity you're doing, but he just promotes community and friendship. And, you know, a lot of the people that I see at the gym in the morning, it's like, I can't think of a better way to start my day. It helps me feel positive. It helps me go to work with a really good attitude. Like, okay, I can do this for another day. So I really have come to rely on that release to help me maintain some balance, because otherwise it's too easy to just get stuck in the stress of what I do. And I think Mike always has a really positive attitude. He won't let you wallow in in your stress and anxiety. He really keeps you focused on what you're doing right in the moment. So I think that's another piece of growth for me, is some mindfulness. 20 years ago, sometimes I'd be consumed by just what was going on, and I couldn't get out of it. And I think exercise and working with Mike over the years has helped me be just a little more mindful, living right in the moment, and it's okay for that time that I'm there to be totally focused on what I'm doing. I think there's a lot of things about Mike that motivate me. I think he's in great shape himself. He will rarely, if ever, ask you to do something he wouldn't be willing to try himself. So he's not kind of standing on the sideline saying, you do that, but I'm not going to do it. So I think the fact that he's in great shape himself, he's a very kind person, has a good sense of humor. I rarely have ever, over the, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years I've known him, rarely ever see him in a bad mood. And if he is, certainly doesn't bring it with him to the gym. So I think those things, kindness, enthusiasm, it's hard to articulate sometimes what a person's internal quality is that's motivating. Maybe he's charismatic, is a piece of that. And always encouraging, even if you've had the worst stretch for a long period of time, he always welcomes you back and says, come on, let's do it, let's get going, let's get back on track. So I think that just kind of not tireless, maybe tireless energy. He's hopeful, enthusiastic, encouraging. I think he's really knowledgeable. Sometimes I'll ask him something, he'll make an off-the-cuff statement when we're doing something about different muscle groups that's working, or like the other day he said, this is activating your flight or fight response. I'm like, what are you talking about? How is this activity activating that? And so he kind of went into this detailed explanation of it, and he's just very knowledgeable, things that you wouldn't expect him to know or to say. He's a very good source for information.